I would like to tell you a story. Now, as you all know, I'm a writer, I'm an author, and I spent the past 3 years working on my new book, The Mystery of Jesus Christ Through the Eyes of Science. That's the topic of the book. And for 2 years before I had actually finished the manuscript, I kept thinking over and over and over, what title should I give to this book? I want it to be something so unique and so meaningful, but I just could not pinpoint it. I just couldn't. I was thinking in my mind, I was thinking of something like something about life, the breath of life. Um, but as much as I thought about it, and I spent hours just walking and trying to figure out the book title, I just couldn't grasp. I couldn't I couldn't find the title that my heart and my mind would just uh, cling to and say this is it. And I just kept thinking life, breath of life, and I simply could not settle on anything. And one night I was invited to a Rotary meeting, and I walked for the first time in this massive hall. There were maybe 80 people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. So I see a lot of unfamiliar faces. I didn't know anyone. It was my first time at the Rotary Club. And as I was walking between the tables, trying to find a place where to sit down, I felt the Holy Spirit say, sit down next to this person. So I immediately obeyed. I sat down to this person, a man in his 70s. And we began talking, and he asked me, so where do you work? What do you do? And I said, well, I'm in the space industry. And then he asked me a very strange question. He says, well, I own a wine company. So I produce and sell wine. And can you help me send my wine into space? And at first, I thought that's a very strange question. I thought, to be honest, I thought he was trying to mock me or to laugh at me. But I didn't say anything. And I asked, are you serious about it? And he said, yeah. I would like to send a tiny bottle of wine into space for advertising purposes. And then I thought, okay, if you're serious about it, let me consider and see what options do I have. Of course, in the back of my mind, I knew that sending something on a rocket, like SpaceX or the European rockets, is very, very expensive. And then I remembered, look, I have a friend who actually sends balloons above the Earth atmosphere. So I said, okay, in my mind I said, well, it's a very strange question, but hey, I'll do my best to try and help you. So I spoke to my friend, I asked him for a quote, even though, to be honest, I still thought the question was ridiculous. Why would you send wine into space? So my friend was actually doing this as a living, sending objects for advertising purposes into the atmosphere, beyond the atmosphere of the Earth. And I put the two in touch, and I said, look, both of you are dear people to me. I don't want any financial benefit out of this venture. Talk among yourselves, see if it works out, and take it from here. But they kept me in the loop, and eventually my friend sent a quote to this person and how much it will cost to send the wine into space. And then this person replies and says, I thank you both so much. I really, really appreciate your help. But I think it's too expensive, so I cannot afford it. But I really honor you, and I really am grateful for your help. And in the email, after his text, there came the signature with the name, the address, the contact details, and underneath, it was something written in the native indigenous language of New Zealand, in the Maori language, and the translation saying, "Behold the breath of life." The moment my eyes saw that, I realized, man, that's it. That is my book title. I've been looking so hard and for so long to find it. It just made perfect sense. It was exactly what I had been looking for. But in the same time, I have learned something fascinating about how God works and how He answers prayers. Sometimes the miracle you need, the answered prayer that you need, God will send those answers wrapped up in somebody else's cry for help. So all of us are looking for help, and we are on this earth to help one another. And God speaks through people, and He uses people to provide answers to your prayers. But sometimes those answers, they don't usually come as you want them to be or as you expect them to come. They come in strange packages, in strange wrappings. And sometimes they come in the form of somebody else's cry for help. Now, God will test your heart, and He will want to know if are you willing to help another human being. Are you willing to help another person just because you can, without any benefit for you? Are you willing, when somebody asks for help, are you willing to give of yourself to that person for no reason other than because you can help? To help them. And if the answer is yes, you might find in the other person's cry for help the miracle you've been looking for, the answer to the prayers you've been praying, and the answer to the questions you've been asking. But if God answers your prayer and it comes wrapped up in somebody else's cry for help, and if you reject that person because you don't see any benefit for yourself, because you simply you can't be bothered, you miss God's miracle that you've been looking for. If you are not willing to help another human being, how can you dare to go to God and ask for help? So I've seen it over and over in my life. When you're looking for something, when you want something, in a very random way, God will send a person into your life that apparently can do nothing for you, that just needs your help, and you can provide the help, but you can't have any benefit out of that. Is your heart open to help the person simply because you can? And if the answer is no, you completely miss God's miracle for you.